All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My key games for this upcoming weekend in the world of college football. And I want to get things started with a big one this Saturday in the Big Ten. You've got the seventh ranked Penn State Nittany Lions traveling to Columbus to take on the third ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State comes into this contest favored by 4.5. Big time implications as far as winning the Big Ten in this contest, getting to the college football playoff, and possibly winning the national championship. You think about these two clubs, two of the heavyweights in the Big Ten East, and of course, with the Big Ten set to expand once again next year, it's unfortunate that this game is going to be tabled, if you will. We're not going to see it every year like we have. And you figure ever since Penn State joined the Big Ten 30 years ago, they basically played Ohio State every single year. Big time games, very competitive. And of course, unfortunately, another rivalry is set to bite the dust due to conference realignment and expansion. Tyler Spencer, how you doing there? Oh man, this is a big weekend. I'll be at game day and all the tailgates. Go Bucks. Listen, man, definitely enjoy game day. I'm sure like you're gonna have plenty of fun out there tailgating, and I'm gonna try to catch as many games on the tube myself come Saturday. But my man, I'm jealous, as far as you going out there and doing the tailgating. And keep your ears, focused on this one because and please feel free to chime in as I'm talking about the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions on this one. And for me, it's going to be interesting to see if James Franklin is going to be able to exercise some demons because you think about James Franklin's time as Penn State's head ball coach. He's basically been able to beat everybody with the exception of Michigan and Ohio State consistently. And that is all that has really prevented Penn State from winning the Big Ten more than they have. I mean, they do have the one Big Ten title under James Franklin that came back in 2016, but it's just been the struggles against Michigan and Ohio State. I mean, Penn State, they've checked all the other boxes, multiple 10-win seasons, New Year's Six Bowl wins, New Year's Six Bowl bids, and then New Year's Six Bowl wins. A Rose Bowl win last year over Utah. They've won the Cotton Bowl. They've won the Fiesta Bowl. The only thing is just not getting to that college football playoff. Both of these teams, you can make a case that you can say, well, they're splitting images of each other, just with the exception of pardon me, Ohio State rather has more explosiveness at the skill positions. But I will say this. Oh, the Buckeyes, they're dealing with some injuries right now. Of course, we don't know if Emeka Egbuka and Travion Henderson are going to be available for the Buckeyes this week. They didn't have them last week against Purdue, and they mopped the floor with the Boilermakers on the road. Now, granted, Purdue is not Penn State. I get it. But the Buckeyes do have one of the top defenses in the nation. They have the ninth ranked defense. And I think Tommy Eichenberg and company are going to have an impact on this one, trying to slow down those ball carriers of the Nittany Lions. And I'm talking about Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. But when you're talking about defense, you're talking about Penn State. They have the top defense in the nation. Granted, they have not played anybody so far offensively that has the talent that Ohio State has. And I know the Buckeyes are probably going to be depleted in this contest, but you still got Marvin Harrison Jr., arguably the best player in the nation, going up against this Penn State secondary. It's a big test for both of these young quarterbacks. You got Drew Aller for Penn State, and then you have Kyle McCord for Ohio State. And this is going to be Drew Aller's biggest test so far, going up in front of 100,000 people at the Horseshoe in Columbus. And then on the flip side for Kyle McCord, I talked about this earlier this season. I think Kyle McCord is going to get better as the year progresses. He's going to get his feet under him. And you look at this contest right here, and I think this is an opportunity for him. And I think that Notre Dame game, the win on the road, helped him out a couple of weeks ago. And I think he's going to try to continue to build off of that. I think both of these offenses want to start fast. I say it from Penn State standpoint because they want to try to quiet that crowd in Columbus. And if you're Ohio State, obviously you want to keep the crowd into it. I think these defenses are going to be back and forth, field position and turnovers. And more importantly, which team, when they get into the red zone, is going to be able to score a touchdown as opposed to having to settle for a field goal. Again, both of these teams have so much talent, but one of the bugaboos for James Franklin has been his inability to consistently beat Ohio State since he's been the head coach at Penn State. Only one win over the Buckeyes. I think that trend continues on Saturday, and I'm going to take Ohio State at home by the score of 24-20. Now, moving to the SEC, you're going to have the 17th ranked Volunteers of Tennessee traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the 11th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. And I just talked about the Penn State Ohio State rivalry. Um, that takes a back seat to Tennessee, Alabama, even when one team is bad or both teams are bad. You think about it, the third Saturday in October has been synonymous with the SEC. And again, due to the SEC set to expand to 16 teams next year, we're probably not going to see this game, especially since the SEC could not agree upon a 9 game conference schedule. And, a lot of people, really don't understand the historic value, if you will, between Tennessee and Alabama meeting every single year. And that probably is not going to be the case. But nonetheless, this could be the Alabama revenge tour. And I talked about this in the preseason. It was the road losses last year to both Tennessee and LSU that prevented the Tide from getting to the college football playoff and possibly winning the national championship. This time around, the Tide have the Vols coming to Tuscaloosa. And for Tennessee, this is going to be a big test for this crew under head coach Josh Heupel. After the Florida loss, they've looked like a better team, but now you got to go to Brian Denny and take on Alabama in that defense. And for Joe Milton at quarterback for Tennessee, can he protect the ball? Can he not turn the football over for Tennessee and give Alabama the short field? We've got to wait and see. The Volunteers have the balance on their offense with the likes of Jalen Wright at running back, and then their defense has 24 sacks so far. And that's going to be important because if Tennessee's defense can slow down this Alabama run game on first and second down, keep the Crimson Tide in second and third and long, make Jalen Milroe have to beat you more with his arm in the pocket as opposed to being an athlete, that definitely would give Tennessee somewhat of an advantage. But this Alabama offense, I think week by week, they continue to get a little bit better. Not great, but better. And then this defense for the Tide right now, Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, Tresman Marshall, so much talent on that side of the ball. I think, this is going to be one of those years where Alabama's defense is going to carry them. Alabama's defense is going to keep them in the games. And this year, as opposed to years past, Alabama's winning ugly, and they don't mind that. They're the 11th ranked team in the nation right now. They're flying under the radar a little bit, and I think that works to their advantage. And I think Alabama takes care of their business at home. Thus, I'm going to take the Tide by the score of 27-17. Now, in the ACC, you're going to have 16th ranked Duke traveling to Doak Campbell to take on the 4th ranked Seminoles out of Florida State. The Noles come into this contest favored by 14.5, and for good reason, as Duke is not going to have starting quarterback Riley Leonard once again, as they're going to be relying on Henry Beal in the fourth. So you got this Florida State defense. They're going to try to pin their ears back and come after Beelan. But, this Duke team looked comfortable last week at home versus North Carolina State. And I guarantee you that 24-3 win gave this team some confidence. Now, for Florida State, this might be their last big test as they look to run the table in the ACC. And of course, if Florida State wins the ACC, more often than not, they're going to be in the college football playoff. Jordan Travis is gutting it out. He's playing with that left shoulder injury. You got a lot of talent on that side of the ball with Trey Benson at running back. Keon Coleman has really been one of the steals, if you will, from the transfer portal, the former Michigan State wide receiver. And will the Knowles have a healthy Johnny Wilson back at wide receiver this Saturday? We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, Florida State's the better team. Duke's not the same without Riley Leonard. And I think it shows in this one. I'm going to take Florida State by 14 at home by the score of 34-20. And finally, in the Pac 12, You're going to have the 14th ranked Utes out of Utah traveling to the Coliseum of Los Angeles to take on the 18th ranked USC Trojans. The men of Troy come into this contest favored by 7, but you got to wonder if Utah will continue to be a nemesis in their side ever since Utah came to the Pac-12, and they've been playing in the Pac-12 South, of course, initially until the USC, pardon me, the Pac-12 got rid of the divisional format, but they've been a thorn in the side of the Trojans. They beat them twice last year, prevented USC from winning the Pac-12 and getting to the college football playoff, and now not only is Utah looking to beat USC again, they're also looking to make it 3 consecutive Pac-12 championships. So I look at it like this USC defense continues to be a problem. 95th in the nation right now in total defense. And we saw what happened last Saturday when the USC offense is not on point. And they really don't have the defense to carry them. And Utah has been a thorn in the side of that. And I think Utah's ability to mix it up on offense in the past, but will they be able to do the same if Cam Rising still can't go for the Utes? We got to wait and see. Now, defensively, the Utes will bring with them the ninth ranked defense in the nation to LA. You got Jonah Ellis up front, the son of former Detroit Lions defensive lineman Luther Ellis, who as well was a Utah grad. He's bringing it 9 sacks so far on the season, and if he can get in that backfield and throw off the timing of this explosive USC offense, the Trojans could have a long night. You still got Caleb Williams at quarterback for USC. I know he had a bad game last week. Notre Dame's got a solid defense, and he's going to look to get back on track. They got to get their timing back on offense, but also their defense has to make some plays. It hasn't been pretty as of late for USC, especially because of their defense. I look at the Trojans, they're favored by 7 in this contest. I think this game is going to be much closer. If you look at the games recently between Utah and USC, they're typically close. They typically come down to the wire. I think USC is going to win it, but they're going to have to fight, scrap, and claw to beat the Utes. And I'm going to take the men of Troy at home by the score of 31-30. So, folks, those are my picks for my key games from this Saturday in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Tyler Spencer, as always, I definitely appreciate you chiming in. Definitely check it out over the weekend, and let me know how you feel about Who Day. I'm sure you were more than happy that the Bengals got the home win this past Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks, and I definitely know that you're going to be paying attention to all of the goings and comings in the AFC North, as that division race is real tight right now. I'll be touching on that over the weekend as well. Like you're saying, here's to another great weekend of college football. Enjoy your tailgating. Enjoy any game that you're going to, and enjoy any games that you're watching out there. And that goes for everybody else as well. But once again, this is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Thanks, everybody. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but I definitely appreciate the support. Be well and enjoy the college football action this weekend.